think about Tank Dell? Where is he, and what are your plans for him?
He's extremely fun to coach. That would be the first thing I have about Tank is he's a joy to coach. He's always listening. He's intentful. He wants to work. I think I mentioned in the off season just how hungry he is, how much he prepares, and he knows how much he has to prepare. Just how different this was in college, and he goes out and things you talk about, he puts on tape, and he does, and he's an elite separator, and it shows up.
We talked to a lot of offensive players about learning your offense. Playbook is really dense. Damian Pierce said it's like the Bible, and everything that kind of ties it together. Can you take us a little through the process of building your first one and how you're teaching that?
Yeah, it's definitely not that, right? It's just lines on a piece of paper. That's it. And at the end of the day, what the playbook really is a way for the players to just make it come to life. And that's a lot of what we do is we just want to install the foundations of formations, movement, and concepts, run and pass, to put the guys we have in the best position they can be in to do what they excel at. And then you keep grinding through that, and eventually what I do really doesn't matter. They make everything come to life, and they're on their way right now.
So, CJ threw a couple interceptions the past 2 days. What have you seen from those, and how do you teach that going forward?
The first thing I've seen is that it's really hot in Houston, and I know there's challenges that come with that. Making sure that you know how to handle the heat, you know how to handle the challenges of a wet ball, you know how to handle the challenges of a center who maybe just ran 4 run plays in a row and 30 yards down the field, and he's a little greased up. And having answers and preparation for that is a big part of just being able to handle the environment. Then on top of that, being able to continue to trust his feet, go through his progressions, which he's done a really good job of as we get through camp. And then mistakes get made along the way. Sometimes it's the receiver, sometimes it's me, sometimes it's him. And you kind of just learn from them, grow from them, bank it. That's what training camp's about. Training camp's about good on good, not always having a perfect play, and seeing if we can make it work, because that winds up paying off in season.
Does he respond well whenever you guys go back and look at the film? They say he was a football junkie, but is he taking the early struggles well?
Absolutely. Usually he'll turn right around and he can say what went wrong. Whether it was him, me, like I said, receiver, protection. I mean, he has a great feel for what's happening around him. And it doesn't take all the way until the film room to be able to talk about it and know how to handle it. He has an idea before we see the tape. Typically with him, the tape is just verifying what he already knows.
So, have you seen the quarterback show?
No.
Okay, there's a show about quarterbacks and the demands of quarterbacking. And one of the things that they talk about is the demands of the playbook, even for experienced quarterbacks. How do you see that process happening in this camp where you have new schemes on both sides of the ball, you're working together, trying to pretend like that it's a game, but it's not a game until it is?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a process on both sides. A lot of it, for a lot of these guys, it's similar stuff they've done before, whether they're vets or they're coming from college. There's aspects of it all they've done before, and you just change the verbiage. You change how you get there, and maybe you emphasize different things that have been emphasized to them in the past. And then putting the pieces of that puzzle together individually on their own is kind of what OTAs and the 40 days away are before camp. And then you come into camp, and typically a player is going to be the best they individually can be at that time, but you have to figure out how to be the best you can be as a unit. And that comes with its own challenges. The right guard being in tune with the center, the quarterback being in tune with the wideout, the tight end being in tune with the wideout, and just all the way across the board. Now you have to make it all fit and gel, and that takes time when the defense is going through the same thing. So it's just a never-ending process. It's endless, and it takes a lot of mental focus and a lot of work.
What is your vision for the quarterback position? Because, building an offense, it seems like you kind of build around the strengths, and you got the 2 guys going in, and maybe we're kind of building around that. How do you approach that? What is your vision for that?
Right now, the vision for that position is just getting the ball out and getting completions, making sure we're efficient in what we're doing, getting the ball in our playmakers' hands. And we got some that are out there performing at wideout, at running back, at tight end. So right now, the emphasis for that position in particular is just efficiency. And on top of that, just keeping command of the offense and what so far has been installed, and that includes the run game. You know, there's some stuff on the plate in the run game as it relates to stuff everyone in the NFL has to go through. But the more you own that, and you own the stuff before the ball snap, the more we can talk about the stuff after the ball snap.
How do you calibrate your maturation with these guys' maturation as you go through this process of just day by day, step by step? There's some intricate calibration that you have, and how do you calculate that? What do you pinpoint those points?
Yeah, that's a good question. We talk about it as an offensive group in offensive meetings a lot. You know, like training camp is a time for everyone to learn and everyone to grow. And that's like I've said, that's vets, that's rookies, that's also play callers, that's me, that's position coaches, that's kind of everybody. And we're very honest with each other, which is one of the things I love about the group we have is you can just say what it is, you know, and guys respond to that, they understand that, and that includes myself, you know, when I've made a mistake, when I have to learn, when I'll take ownership of a play, and that goes all the way through then to the players and the position coaches, and it's been really awesome so far, an awesome experience to go through that.
We got time for a few more.
How do you assess the last few days of pads for a little bit of situational work these last few days?
Yeah, the big thing for us with pads is just the emphasis of how much, obviously everything starts with the run game, and you can start to feel that a lot more when we put pads on. You know, I always like to say, I think training camp for our offensive line is the biggest challenge they're going to get because of just the philosophy of how our defensive line plays. That makes it very difficult for what we're trying to do on offense. We're both attacking each other, coming off the ball, and it's really hard without pads, so it really starts when pads come on, and then you just hone in on the details of that, the footwork of our right tackle, our right guard, our left tackle, our center, our left guard, how it ties to the running back. Now we can really get a feel for that with some movement on both sides, and then what plays off of that, what pass game plays off of that, what screens play off of that, what keepers play off of that. That's really the biggest thing. As soon as we get to pads, you can actually start honing in on, hey guys, it starts in the run.
Bobby, kind of two-part question. When you look at the tight end position, just the value of what it brings to your offense, and also when you don't have guys like Teagan, Dalton, and Brevin out right now, it's hard to make the install happen for the other players.
The install doesn't really change, you know, because again, the install goes back to the install is kind of the foundation of what we're going to wind up doing in season. So we're not out there trying to make sure that Dalton's getting this perfect look, that we can get a specific route run and the quarterback get the rep throwing it. It's more like if we get the look, that's great. Let's see if we take advantage of it. And if we don't get the look, what's our process across the board as a unit to ensure we still have a positive play. Then on top of that, specifically as it relates to Dalton and really the whole crew, once we get them all back and going, like that position, as everyone knows, that's extremely helpful. When you have a tight end group in the pass game that can help protect your quarterback, there's a lot of things you can do as far as matchup goes. Once you start getting to game planning, there's a lot of things you can do in protections. There's a lot of things you can do in the run game as far as just being able to set an edge and let Dameon Pierce and Dev and Boone and Dare just roll. So that it's a huge piece of the cog right there, cog in the machine.
What are the benefits of having sometimes adverse circumstances or different personnel for a young quarterback that sometimes things will not be the way you draw it up on the depth chart and a little bit different? Do you see that helping CJ?
Absolutely. I think it's massive that you go through bumps in the road on your journey. Like the season is so long in the NFL, you know, and you can get to week 8 and you don't even remember what happened in week 2. And there's so many hiccups along the way across the board. Just being able at that position to learn how to handle them, how to respond to a coach, how to respond to a teammate, how to respond to yourself. You know, keep your confidence. And Davis and Case, kind of all of them going through the same thing, the same struggles, has been awesome. And they've had a great chance to kind of teach CJ. CJ's had a great chance in some aspects to teach them on some stuff. It's been a really cool room to see gel.
We've got time for a couple more.
It seems like whenever you're going through your career up to the first time play call, you have a lot of stuff in theory that you want to place out, and then putting it into practice, people are like, oh, that didn't work, and this did in different ways. What's that experience been like? Has there been that? And like, what kind of pops off the page and like take what you've learned?
Yeah, a lot of it for me, what I always wanted to make sure I emphasize no matter what, I've already kind of hit on many times, and that's the fundamentals and the technique. Like, no matter what we're doing, we're going to stick to these three things. And we're going to attack, we're going to run off the ball, we're going to be efficient in the pass game, we're going to be extremely detailed in our routes. Like, there's just these core things that have nothing to do with the lines on the paper that are just a part of how I think you should play offensive football. That, more so than anything, I would say, is what I learned on my journey that I'm trying to implement.
We'll close with Sergeant DJ.
Bobby, when you're trying to teach a new system to rookies, but also veterans, what are some of the difficulties that you've been through? And especially when these players have different learning styles. Some of these veterans have been around a long time. They have a certain way that they learn a playbook. What are some of the difficulties that you've had to overcome?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is you got to be willing to teach in many different ways. You know, some people can listen and learn. Some people need to see it and they can learn. Some people need to go do it and they can learn. Some people need to draw it and they can, like, there's all different kinds of avenues of learning, and we try to make sure we attack all of those. But as I mentioned before, when you have a whole new crew, whole new staff, whole new coordinator, what's been awesome about the offense is just we're all growing together. I mean, there's mistakes made every day, every play. We haven't had a perfect play yet. And that includes the play call, so you can just be really open on what needs to be better and how do we change it and what do we do better so that by the time we get to week 1 and we're playing Baltimore, we're at the peak of where we want to be and we're ready to roll.
Last one.
What have you learned from some of your former colleagues that you're still close with about developing a quarterback that you've seen applicable to what you've been going through with CJ?
Yeah, I would say the top thing, and again, I've referenced this before, the top thing that's different in the NFL compared to college is how messy the pocket gets. So your starting point for handling that, for me, took a while to understand, okay, do we just tell them to move? Or how exactly do you coach that? And it really is what hammered in the importance of footwork to me. I would say that's the number one thing for a young quarterback, and there's a lot that's going on. Obviously that position demands a lot, but being able to trust your footwork and trust your mindset and what you're seeing enables you to react to really all the chaos that winds up going on around you at that position. Once you start feeling that, that's when things start clicking.
Thank you, Bobby.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks, guys.